we will call this meeting to order. So for those in attendance, just some housekeeping items if I may. Given that this is the first meeting after the by-election and given that we do not yet have a chair appointed, as administrator, I will chair the meeting when we get to that portion of the agenda. So I just wanted to let people know that given this is a committee of the whole meeting, the committee as it sits does not have the authority to initiate any action. Any actions would have to get referred to the next regularly scheduled board meeting. A regularly scheduled board meeting does require 14 days public notice, so once that date gets determined, we will make sure appropriate notice is given. Also, given that I know the question has arisen with respect to the process for a recount, I wanted to just make sure people were aware of how that process works. So sections 684, it's Part 17 of the Local Government Act that looks after improvement districts. The regular portion under Part 3 that pertains to municipalities and regional districts does actually not apply to improvement districts. It is up to the improvement districts then to ensure that as soon as the date of a by-election has occurred, that there is 14 days allotted for the potential of any application for a recount. As a returning officer, I don't have automatic authority to issue a recount unless there was a case of a tie, which we did not have in this case. It was close. The third and fourth place ones were separated by 2 votes, but that does not give me sufficient authority to issue a recount. Therefore, how that has to occur is that an application would have to be made either by an eligible elector or voter or an eligible candidate to the Supreme Court of British Columbia within that 14-day period. That 14-day period will expire end of business essentially Friday, November 4th. Okay. So with that in mind, I would like to move on to the oaths of office for the 3 newly elected trustees, and I've just put them in alphabetical order, if anything else. So Trustee Bitton would be first. So I think you should stand and read out the oath of office, please.
Stand.
And your heart.
I'm supposed to read it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
It's right, it's there, right?
It is.
It's right. Both process.
Yeah, it was in that. Yeah.
So I'm reading the whole thing.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Trustee oath. I, Richard Bitton, having been elected to the position of trustee for the Union Bay Improvement District, do hereby swear and affirm that, number 1, I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, execute the powers, duties, and functions of my office. Number 2, as a trustee and by virtue of my office, I understand that I will be entrusted with confidential information concerning the affairs of the Improvement District. I also understand that I am obligated to maintain such information in confidence and not to use it for personal gain or advantage. Number 3, I accept that as a trustee I am obligated to duties of good faith, loyalty, and honesty to the Improvement District, and I am obligated to act in the best interest of the Improvement District at all times. Number 4, I have read and agreed to comply with all Improvement District bylaws, policies, and directives. Signed by Rick Bitton, October 27, 2016. Thank you.
I, Jim Elliott, have been elected to the position of trustee for the Union Bay Improvement District. Do hereby swear and affirm that 1, I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, execute the powers, duties, and functions of my office. Number 2, as a trustee and by virtue of my office, I understand that I will be entrusted with confidential information concerning the affairs of the Improvement District. I also understand that I am obligated to maintain such information in confidence and not to use it for personal gain or advantage. Number 3, I accept that as a trustee, I am obligated to duties of good faith, loyalty, and honesty to the Improvement District, and I am obligated to act in the best interest of the Improvement District at all times. Number 4, I have read and agree to comply with all Improvement District bylaws, policies, and signed this 27th day of October 2016. Trustee Calder.
I, Susanna Calger, having been elected to the position of trustee for the Union Bay Improvement District, do hereby swear and affirm that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, execute the powers, duties, and functions of my office. As a trustee and by virtue of my office, I understand that I will be entrusted with confidential information concerning the affairs of the Improvement District. I also understand that I am obligated to maintain such information in confidence and not to use it for personal gain or advantage. I accept that as a trustee, I am obligated to duties of good faith, loyalty, and honesty to the Improvement District. And I am obligated to act in the best interests of the Improvement District at all times. I have read and agreed to comply with all Improvement District bylaws, policies, and directives. Signed 27th day of October 2016.
Item three is just acknowledgement from the three new trustees of the receipt of the confidentiality agreement and the conflict of interest policy. We're going to have to sort of response this evening. Okay, so item 4 then is the appointment of the board chair. So I will ask 3 times for nominations from the board, and then there will be a vote to obviously get board chair. So I'll ask once, is there nominations from the board?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Peter Jakes for chairman.
Okay, I will ask a second time. Are there any nominations from the board?
The same, please. I'd like to nominate Peter Jakes. Is that
Well,
the same thing?
nominated.
Yeah.
A third time. Okay. No other nominations coming from the board. I would ask for votes.
Can we have a discussion?
Sure.
What? About the reason for our choices? I have a reason for my choice, and that is because by far, Jim Elliott has received the most votes by landowners. And that's by a significant number. It's 280 versus, what was your count, Peter?
That was a previous
That was a
election.
previous
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter.
I'm giving the reasons for my vote. So 280 versus, I believe, 220. And also, 226. So, and also that Mr. Elliott is in position for 18 months. So he has a longer term than certainly Greg or I.
Want to speak to your nomination?
No, I'm quite happy with
Okay, so
the
we have
nomination.
2 individuals nominated. So I will ask them for a vote as to who would like Peter Jakes as chair. Thanks, Al. And you have to ask how many for Jim Elliott. Majority means Peter Jakes is going to be chair. Given that, I turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Kevin, I think.
Okay, you may regret it later.
First of all, I have to tell you, I am not well versed in my new duties, and the learning curve is going to be fairly steep. However, I'm sure that with Kevin's guidance, he'll make it work. first order of business, congratulate Ms. Coulter and Mr. Elliott on their successful campaign and their election. And always my next. And Mr. Rick Bitton.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah.
Also, I think that this would be very apropos to thank the previous board for the work that they did for the community. They put in long hours, and all politics aside, they made quite a sacrifice in order to keep the community running. Having said that, I guess we can now move on to the next item on the list. The approval for signing authority amendments.
So, as I mentioned at the onset, no direct decisions can be made at the committee of the whole, but the direction could be provided to me to instruct the Union Bay Credit Union to prepare the documentation for the signing authorities, because at this point, given we haven't had a board quorum for 3 months, the signing authorities have remained myself and trustees Loxon and Jakes. So we have typically had all the trustees as signing authorities, and then basically the checks would get signed, it would be one trustee and myself. So if you give me such direction, next week I will make sure that paperwork gets done, and then as soon as a recount period is elapsed, then we will arrange to have every trustee remain and sign.
Everybody's in favor of giving you the
Just
approval.
let me know if there's unanimous direction.
Unanimous?
Go ahead and do that.
Now, the next item on the agenda is upcoming meetings. Perhaps you'd like to speak to that too as well.
I can do that. So just for the board's edification, I have been speaking to an individual with extensive local government experience to come in at the board's pleasure and do a board orientation. Because again, there is a variety of levels of expertise on the board. This particular fellow I've been speaking to, his name is Jerry Berry. He probably has, I'm going to say, in excess of 35 years experience in local government. He actually was a local government trainer back in 1994 when I first got into local government. And he's the former CEO for the city of Nanaimo. While he typically would do board orientation for municipalities and regional districts, again, he is well versed in local government and whole. He also realizes that given we are an improvement district, we do have limited resources available, so he actually has agreed to provide us his training at a third of his usual rate, which would be about $500. So assuming the board is amenable to that, I will speak with him first of next week, just to confirm his availability. But if the board could then let me know over the next few days as to what would work for you, I recognize Rick's going to be away for a couple weeks in November, so.
Yeah, we could do it before then.
So
So
try to do it before.
what's he training us on exactly?
So basically, typical board procedures, board staff relations, conflict of interest, a whole plethora of items and subjects. Maybe.
More about the process than
Yeah, to understand what it means to be, in this case, a board of trustee, and what the roles and responsibilities are, and how to conduct a meeting, all those kinds of things. Okay, so I will follow up on that for the board.
Thank you, Kevin.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, well, I was just going to tell, the next item is the 2017 annual budget review. Should I put here?
Okay.
Would you like dates of availability now, so the time is on?
If you can provide those to me, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm available anytime after 3 o'clock on any weekday.
Any holidays coming up?
Not that I remember.
I'm also available usually after 3, but preferably not Mondays and Tuesdays. I will usually make that.
Sorry, that was Mondays and Tuesdays?
Yeah, I can quite
not gonna work with my DD over here.
How long is the training, Kevin? Do you know?
I will have to confirm with them how long he figures we'll need.
10 hours.
We have talked about potentially doing it on a Saturday, but
Yeah.
I'll have to confirm how many hours he feels he needs.
Long camp Friday night.
Because,
Can't get
you
up till
could
Sunday.
spend a couple hours, you could probably spend a whole day. So it really depends on how much we want to invest. Okay, and then moving to 6B, if I may, the annual budget review. Given the unique circumstances of the last 3 months, I haven't been in a position to sit down with the board and discuss the 2017 proposed annual budget. Now, in typical circumstances, the annual budget would be approved, and then subsequent to that, the board would approve, or we look at for consideration and potentially approve our two taxation bylaws. One is the parcel taxation bylaw, the other one is for our fire protection and street lighting. Typically, every year, those are due into the ministry by October the 31st. That wasn't going to happen, given, again, the circumstances that we're just coming out of. So I was granted a 2-week extension to November the 15th. So I can certainly get the budget info out to you by email as soon as possible. And then from there, if the board wishes to meet quickly before it approves the budget, we can certainly do that, or those would have to be approved at the next regularly scheduled board meeting.
Is there any changes in the budget, Kevin?
As it sits right now, given, again, I didn't have a chance to talk to the board, a board at the time, I haven't proposed any significant changes. So at this point, I'm proposing that water total rates, parcel tax rates, and the requisition to the province for fire protection street lighting remain unchanged. The only changes to the budget will be some minor details and some cost increases.
I would think the board should have an opportunity to review it before posting the meeting, so we'll have to set a date for that. So
I know the question arose as to whether that could get done in an in-camera meeting, and in looking at the criteria for in-camera, I'm not sure that's going to be possible, given our closed meeting policy.
Everybody okay with that?
So what I can do in the interim is first thing Monday, get it out of a email to everyone, give you a chance to all review it. I will also make paper copies available, because admittedly, yes, it's a fairly large spreadsheet, so it might be small for some folks on the computer screen. So I will make sure that I have that ready for pickup sometime on the afternoon. And then you can read it, and then you can make some plans there. If sorry?
will you give us the Excel document?
Yeah, because there's connected worksheets to it. Barring any potential complications where we may not get it into province by the 15th, I would have to get back in touch with them and see if a further extension is possible.
Well, I think that's driven by the deciding when we're going to have our meeting, really, is
Yes,
the November meeting.
yes, and as I said at the onset, we do require 14 days public notice to set a regular board meeting. Once we have a board schedule set, then we don't have to necessarily give that kind of notice, but again, unique situation here, so we need to set that first meeting, and then at the November, assuming November regular meeting, we can then decide what the regular meeting schedule going forward will be, and then that will get put on the website for people's verification.
So are we going to discuss the meeting date now, or are we going to try and work it out amongst ourselves before?
That's up to the board to decide.
This is the next item on the
Okay.
agenda, the November regular board meeting. So perhaps maybe we could talk about that now and see if we can work out something that's okay for everybody.
Just going back to one point here, Kevin, are you going to sit down and clarify with us going through the budget so that we understand? I mean, looking at a spreadsheet, really, I would like to just go through, is that your plan, is going through it with the board?
We can certainly do that. Or what we could do is I could send it out, and then if individual board members want to meet with me
Okay,
individually with questions, we can do that too, whatever seems to be most prudent.
It's a pretty high level report, I imagine.
It depends on your level of understanding of financial statements, I suppose.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we try to keep it in as layman language as possible. I mean, it's basically just a spreadsheet of revenues and expenses,
Yeah.
allocations to reserves,
Yeah.
and some spreadsheets that should do relate to that.
Okay, so the November regular board meeting, perhaps we can talk about that, see if we can find a date that's agreeable to everyone.
For the public notice, yes.
Soonest would be the 7th then.
So this would actually be the 11th.
The 11th?
Because if-
2016, Jim.
if public notice would go out tomorrow, for example. Yeah, and of course, the Remembrance Day is the 11th. So that would really put it to the 14th.
Okay. Well, I'm,
And then I'm gone for 2 weeks. That's one of the complicating things.
I'd just like to say one thing, that the dynamics of the board have changed quite a bit, because we now have younger people, and they're still working for a living, and I think we have to try to do everything we can to accommodate them. I am going to suggest that the meetings be held at 7 o'clock in the evening, rather than, I think it was what, 4:30?
And again, that's the board's prerogative.
Does anyone want to talk about that? Is the 7 o'clock in the evening already? Well, you said
What
time
date-
for the
what
meeting.
date are you proposing?
Well, no, I'm not proposing the
Just
date,
in general.
Just the time of the meeting, okay? Because that way, they can get home from work, have dinner, and we can have our meeting in the evening. I mean, I'm personally okay with that. I'm retired, so, you know. Are you okay with that?
7 to 3.
So there's,
I say anytime past 3 o'clock.
So-
Need it for me.
that's good. Okay, so we got that for 7 o'clock in the evening, is the time for the meeting. So, the next is, when do we have the first board meeting?
Well, if we're really squeezed by the deadline, and I'm not against coming in on that Saturday, I don't know what other people have or what plans they have, because other than that, I mean, this holiday's been planned since May, so I'm not changing it. I leave on the 14th and we get back on the 25th, so it kind of wipes out that whole 2 weeks. And I don't, like Kevin has this deadline, is that what you're trying to accomplish, is this
Yeah,
deadline?
again, at the end of the day, we only require a quorum, we don't require the full board necessarily. And yet, I'm more than happy to sit down with anybody that may not be able to make a meeting and review it with them. I can't speak to what other business that may come forward on the agenda, but certainly for those 3 items, it just requires a quorum. So we just need.
I'm all right with Saturday.
Well, let's talk about that. How about Saturday? I'm not okay with Saturday. I'm not, it's a,
For a board meeting?
well,
Well, it's a budget
these are
this
different.
Friday.
It's kind of a deadline.
It's a deadline to get the budget in, really, is what it
But that would just be for this one meeting, right?
Yeah.
is. Yeah, just this one meeting, it'd be an
One
exception.
special meeting, and then
Would anyone do Sunday? Saturday?
church.
Right after church, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not against Sundays, to be honest.
So I can do it Sunday, if it makes it easier for anybody.
Yeah, I'm just not sure about the Saturday myself.
Yeah.
Holidays, Friday, so.
Yeah.
And if we're talking Sunday, I'm assuming it's not 7 o'clock at night.
No,
No, I think whatever.
This is a,